Okay, well, welcome back. Here is a second example of the quadratic formula. This problem, though, involves a lot of negatives, which is where some of people's more common mistakes come in. So as we go through, the process stays the same. Our A value is -2, B value is -8, C value is -3. Notice that it is set equal to 0. We're going to plug it into the quadratic formula. Opposite of B plus or minus square root of B squared minus 4AC over 2A. Okay, as we plug it in, do note that we are doing the opposite of B. So if B is -8, I'm actually going to plug in a +8. Okay, plus minus. In fact, I'm not even going to put the plus there, but it is a positive. I'm going to plug in -8 here, and I'm going to square that. Minus 4 times A, -2, times C, -3, all over 2 times A, -2. Okay, so at this point, we're just really down to the simplifying. And again, as I said in the last one, very important to treat this discriminant, that's this inside part, okay, treat this in 2 steps. We've got our -8 squared. We're going to do that in 1 step, preferably without the calculator. And then we're going to multiply these 3 together, really paying attention to those integers, the negatives. Okay, so right up above here, when I square a -8, I get a +64. Okay, this is why I prefer you not to use the calculator if you can, because people tend to use the calculator wrong. Okay, then I'm going to multiply these 3 together all at once. Notice that I am multiplying 3 negatives. When I multiply 3 negatives, I will always get a negative. Okay, so now I'm just going to multiply 4 times 2, which is 8. 8 times 3 is 24, and I've got 64 minus 24. Well, 64 minus 24 is 40. That is now what is inside my square root. And I'm going to copy down the rest of the problem. In the denominator, I do have a -4. Okay, so at this point, now I'm down to those 2 steps that I mentioned on the last one. Step 1, okay, step 1, sorry, that is to simplify the square root. Now, on the last one, we had an imaginary. This one is not, but we still simplify it. That's going to be square root 4 times square root 10. Square root of 4 is a perfect square. That's 2, which means I'm going to replace the square root of 40 with 2 square root 10. And I'm going to rewrite the rest of the problem again. 8 plus minus over -4. Okay, step 2 is now to divide. Okay, so now step 2. Now is where I'm going to reduce, which means I'm going to divide. And again, I'm going to reduce by looking at all of the kind of the real rational numbers. So I'm looking at the 8, the 2, and I'm looking at the -4. Now, you can decide what you want to do here. Personally, if my denominator is negative, I like to divide by a negative because I like my denominator to be positive. So I'm going to divide by -2, since that is something that goes into all of those numbers. Okay? If I divide 8 by -2, I'm going to get -4. Okay? In the denominator, if I divide -4 by -2, I get +2. Now, this part confuses people a little bit. Since there's already a plus minus, we don't have to worry about the negative, okay? When I divide 2 by 2, I get 1. So right here, I'll have plus minus 1 square root 10, okay? And then I can leave it like that. Just to kind of show you some other variations of how you could write this answer, okay? You could leave it just like that, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Some people split it up into -4 over 2 plus minus root 10 over 2. Okay, if you are going to split it up, then what you might do is reduce the first fraction a little bit more. So that first fraction then could reduce to -2 plus minus. Now the second one, though, stays as a fraction. So you could write your answer a couple of different ways. I'm perfectly fine with it leaving it in the first method. Okay.